I'm Melissa Chartrand. I'm at the Cape Museum of Art in Dennis, and I'm joined by artist Shawn Dahlstrom. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm so excited to talk. We're here to talk about this beautiful multimedia exhibit behind me, all about sEVEn. And the sEVEn is significant, and the way sEVEn is spelt with Eve focused is significant.
You noticed that?
I did notice that right away, because it's really a group, 7 groups of 7 women, 49 artists represented here from Falmouth to Provincetown. Before we talk about the exhibit itself and some interesting stories within the stories, let's talk about the idea for this particular exhibit, Shawn.
All right. Initially, several of these women were in exhibits that I had curated before. And in the last one, which was here, actually at Cape Cod Museum of Art, America the Beautiful, they said to me, "What's next?" And at that time, we were very busy. That exhibition was a traveling exhibition, and we had been all over the place. Within a short radius, I should say to you. But we were, so I had to think about it. And after a while, I thought, personally, I don't know why the idea of using the number 7 as a basis for an exhibition. I wanted to include 7 groups of women, as you have mentioned, and I wanted these groups of women to focus on the number 7, and each group to choose what aspect they would use as the basis for their collaboration.
Almost, right?
Yeah, and their collaboration. So at any rate, I pulled 20 of them together, and we talked about the topics. And initially, that was not my topic. And when we spoke about it, I was looking at the idea of what if. What if is a question you ask yourself constantly. What if I turn left? What if I choose this? And they said to me, they didn't feel it was going to be strong enough. And someone said, why not 7? And so I said, great.
Why not?
And so, and it's funny because we talk about collaboration, and that's how that topic came about. So even though I knew subconsciously I wanted to use 7 groups of 7 women, we ended up using that as the topic. So with that, each group went off, they met on their own. I should explain to you that I chose each person for each group depending on media and actually who I thought would make a good addition to each group.
Right, and let's just stop there for a moment to say the media, as we were saying, we had another conversation off camera that when people think art on the Cape or saturated, sometimes they just think lighthouses and hydrangeas and don't realize the variety of mediums and what is here and what type of artists are here.
And not only that, I don't think they understand sometimes the depth of the accomplishment of these women. Or artists, I can't say, just the artists on the Cape. They are so accomplished, and quite honestly, I feel sometimes that we're not, unless they are nationally known, that we're not recognized for what a great art region that we have.
Absolutely.
And again, that became another part of why this exhibition was so important, and this variety. As you know, when you walk in here, it's like no exhibit you've ever seen, or exhibition.
We have a little bit of everything here. And
not only that, if you look around, you'll see it's not traditionally hung. We're not looking at it vertically, horizontally. We're looking at it, the walls move up and down. The work moves up and down, so it's hung organically with each piece meant to relate to the next piece. And it just at least everybody who's responded has a sense of joy when they come in here, the excitement. These women also, I should say to you, wrote 50-word wall text, talked about their pieces. And they said, well, what do you want? I said, what I'd like is to hear from you what you are thinking, either in your creative process or in your collaborative process with your group. So what it does, the curator is not talking for them. There is no such thing in this group called art speak. Sometimes you read, or what happens is it's just a lingo. But here it's not. It's spoken from the heart, which I think is fabulous.
It is, and I love these connections. So within the 7 groups, so you picked an artist, and then did they select the other artist in the group of 7?
No, that was all. It was all my fault. So I'm hoping you'll enjoy it because.
No. I'm just curious, and I think our viewers would like to know. How did you pick these groups? But then, as you say, you talk about let's touch base on the different themes. So they each had a certain theme that they worked with within their medium and their work. But then, as you say, it's hung. So it's so fascinating that they had their collaborations and their connections, and then how each of these 7 groups are connecting to one another.
And well, you have a common theme. You have a group that is willing actually to take the risk and collaborate, because as you know, artists generally work alone. So they were willing to collaborate. They would go back to their studios, they would work, they'd come and meet. And they weren't, I don't think they were looking so much for approval, but they just wanted to be able to discuss their work, and that does not happen. We don't have enough of an opportunity, so they've enjoyed that aspect of it as well.
And you were saying sometimes with artists it can be, I don't know if lonely is the right word, but or isolating if sometimes you're in a studio not with others, so it's fabulous to be able to get out and have those types of discussions and flow back and forth, I guess, as it were.
Now, actually, and some of the artists actually are lucky because we have 4 artists. One is a mother-daughter, and another is our 2 sisters.
Right, I love those connections as well.
And so they grew up speaking about art, but many of the artists didn't. And so that's why it's a different process.
Sure, and new friendships are formed and relationships are formed and new collaborations. We might have a combination of mediums working together now.
Yes, and you'll see that when they each group chose their own topic. And so you'll see that in those collaborations. Right. And you'll see it as they're hung together, how they relate one to another. An interesting point was several times when I attended a lot of meetings, and several times when I would go back and the work was already in progress and they would bring the work in, you could already see they were working alone in their studios. They would bring it in and there might be a common thread of, say, color, shape, form.
Isn't that interesting?
It was interesting because, like the creative mind. And they didn't know until they put them together. It was like, oh, look at that.
Wow, that further connection without the subliminal connection.
It was a subliminal connection. I think that's what made it so much fun.
So this is, as you said, it's been months and months and months in the process. So it's beautiful to come and see the culmination of that process. And it's in celebration of Women's History Month here at the museum all March. It is here, and you have other programs weekly that viewers can take advantage of. All the information is on the Cape Museum of Art website, which they can get all the details about the artists, the work, the stories, and then the different events taking place, which includes at the end of the month a dance celebration. I love that because, again, that's bringing performing arts into this mix.
And actually it does the whole time because we have, as you know, the 7 singer-songwriters, 7 poets. We have a play reading written by 3 Mashpee artists, a leg up, conversations in a Pilates class.
That sounds funny.
It is very funny, and then culminating with belly dancing and African dancing and drumming.
Great. Well, I encourage all of our viewers to come. Be sure to come, men and women.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And that's one other thing I want to say before we go, is that the age group, not only were these artists represented from Falmouth to Provincetown, but the age range.
Yeah, they are 22 through 82. And the thing is, if you were, actually, I do want to say, if we take down the labels, we take down the names, we take down the All About 7 with Eve highlighted, you would not know whether these work are created by men or women because it is about the art, not these other things really don't influence.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Shawn. For Shawn Dahlstrom and All About 7 at Cape Museum of Art, I'm Melissa Chartrand, wishing you an artful day.